Hello students, welcome to Study by Technologies, and in our today's session we are going to discuss next lecture of the chapter tissue. So let's go ahead and start with the muscular tissue, and this tissue, that is this muscular tissue, actually constitute of muscles. Okay, so that is these are made up of contractile fibers. Contractile fibers, that means these are very much flexible actually, and they can contract or expand based on the requirement. Okay. Now each muscle fiber has a contractile myofibrils, which is formed of special protein. And you know very well that protein is a bodybuilding food, so that therefore developing the muscles. Now, this because of this myofibrillis, the muscles can contract or relax. Now, the basic functions of muscular tissue is to bring about the movement of the body parts and the locomotion of individual. And again, these muscles are responsible for heartbeat, production of sound, movement of food in alimentary canal, and facial expressions. Now, moving forward, types of muscular tissues. So these muscular tissues can be classified into three forms. First one will be striated muscles. Then we have unstriated or smooth muscle and cardiac muscles. Striated muscles are generally like skeletal muscles. A skeletal or a skeleton, as you know very well, that they support the structure of our body, right? So whatever the muscles which are attached to it, and again these are the voluntary muscles. That means like you can control the usage and movement of these muscles, right? Similarly, we have unstriated muscles and we have cardiac muscles which are related to the heart of our body. So let's discuss all of them one by one. First one, we have striated muscle. So striated muscle is something like you can see here that this basically used for the arms, and it is there in legs as well. And the location is limbs, body walls, etc. And the structure is they are either cylindrical in shape, multinucleated, and have a light and dark band. And the function of these striated muscle is that they are the voluntary muscles that, as I've already told you, that you can control the usage and movement of these muscles. They help in the movement of bones and rest of the body parts. Okay. Now, like since you can use this for kind of your body movement and for lifting heavy objects and so on, like we have kind of this unstriated muscles. These unstriated muscles are like they present in food pipe, urinary bladder, and blood vessels. So you might have observed that like these are the muscles which are not under your control, right? That means like if food is being passed into your esophagus or at a time of urine as well, like these muscles either swell or they contract as per their own requirement. You cannot do it by your own, right? So they are either spindle shaped, uninucleated, and they do not have dark and light bands, right? So similarly, as per the function, these are the involuntary muscles, and their working cannot be controlled. They help us in the movement of food, urine, and so on. Moving forward, we have cardiac muscles. As you can see that this is the basic structure of our heart, and this is present in the walls of our heart only. These are cylindrical and branched, uninucleated in shape, and they have light and dark bands. And the basic function involves, like, they are again involuntary in nature, and help in dynamic contraction of heart and pumping of blood in different parts of body. Okay. Now the next point is nervous tissue. Again, these are called as neural tissues, and it is made up of elongated cells called as neurons. So these are the neurons actually which help our mind to get the signal from our sense organs. Okay, so they actually respond to the stimuli, and based on that we get to know, like, what has actually happened in our body, and based on this our mind is supposed to take the required set of actions. Okay, now each neuron consists of a cell body called cyton or perikaryon. One or more elongated process arising from cyton is called as dendrons, and single long cylindrical process here is called as axon. So these neurons or nervous tissues are present in brain and spinal cord, and they are also present in different nerves of the body and in sense organs. And their main function of this nerve tissue is concerned with the perception and response of animals. Okay, in a similar manner you can see this diagram, and this is the detailed structure of our nervous tissue or neuron. Okay, so you can just draw this in your notebook and try to practice this diagram as much as you can, so that you can get expertise of the same and you can work on accordingly. So far we have done about the animal tissue, and our next topic is about the plant tissue. So let's move ahead. So if we try to classify the plant tissue, we have two different options. First one is meristematic, and the second one is permanent. Okay, so meristematic and permanent, what are these actually? We have a meristematic tissue is just a simple tissue which is composed of a group of similar activities of dividing cells that can form new cells actually. They may be round, oval, polygonal, or rectangular in shape without intercellular spaces. And the cells walls over here are thin, but the nucleus is large and centrally located. Their cytoplasm may be dense, and vacuoles are either very small or absent. So these are mostly found in the ground, growing tips of roots, shoots, and branches. And their main function is to help the plant in growth. Okay, so just the tip of these roots, your leaves or stems, they compose of actually meristematic tissues, which help actually them to grow up. And if you can look at this part, you can see that this is how your meristematic tissue is there in your plant, as well as this is how you can classify different cases of meristematic tissue. First one is apical meristem. Apical meristem, it is present in the tips of roots, stem, and their branches, and that produces growth in length of part where they are present. So that the stem grows in their own direction, kind of branches grow in their own direction, and so on. Then we have intercalary meristem. These are again located at the base of internode. That means the point where a stem is going to attach with the branches. Okay. Again, it helps in the elongation of internodal region. So this is how the branches might increase as per the length of this meristematic tissue. Then we have lateral meristem, which actually occurs below the bark and in the vascular bundles of dicotyledon and root. Okay. Next, after meristematic tissue, we have something called as permanent tissue. Permanent tissues are actually formed by the division of meristematic tissues only. And the processes of taking up a permanent shape, size, and function is called as differentiation. That means like all the mature cells of the permanent tissue are incapable of cell division. So what they do, they just get specialized to perform different set of functions. So again, these are the most number bulk in plant body, and the cells of in these tissues are very large and are of different shapes. And according to their functions, the living cells are of three types, like it may be protective, supportive, or conducting. Okay, so now let's discuss them one by one. And it's mostly protective cells are mostly found on the outer surface of roots, stems, and leaves. So these cells have thick walls and are protective in function. So they can further be classified as epidermis and cork. Epidermis, that means outer covering of all parts of the plant, is usually formed of a single layer of cell called epidermis. Similarly, in case of cork, these are in the bark of the trees is dead and contain strong waterproof material present in the older stem. Okay, moving ahead about the epidermis cell. Now, epidermis cells may be present in root, they may be present in stems, or they may be present in leaves. In case of roots, these are called as epiglemma or piliferous layer, and they bear unicellular root hair. Then we have stem, which have multicellular hairs, and at last we have epidermis in leaves that have a kidney-shaped guard cell in them, which surround the stomata through which the exchanges of gases take place. So something about stomata if we talk about. So I hope you might have seen in some of my lectures. So this is actually your stomata. You can see that its mouth is opening and closing. So at the moment its mouth gets open, the gas exchange takes place over there. The carbon dioxide is taken in and oxygen is exhaled out. Right? Moving forward, we have supporting tissue. So again, these are the simple permanent tissues and made up of only one type of cell which provides support and strength to the plant. Again, these supporting tissues can be classified into three forms. They may be parenchyma, mesenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Okay. The parenchyma, these are oval, rounded, or polygonal shape. Mesenchyma, these may be elongated and thickened at the corners, and sclerenchyma, composed of long, narrow, thick-walled cells. Okay. Now, the parenchyma, these are found in soft parts of plants like cortex or roots and so on. But in case of collenchyma, these are found in leaf stalk and below the epidermis of stem. Similarly, sclerenchyma, these are found in stem, veins of leaves and hard coverings of fruits as well. Similarly, at last, the parenchyma store food and provide temporary support to the plant. But in collenchyma, they provide mechanical support to these parts of plant. Similarly, sclerenchyma, that means it provides mechanical strength to the plant cell over here. Okay. Moving ahead, we have conductive tissue or conducting tissue. It contains more than one type of cells which work as a unit. And these two cells are xylem and phloem. So xylem, these are made up of dead cells. It transports water or sap that is absorbed by roots to the leaves, and it consists of tracheae, vessels, xylem, parenchyma, and xylem fiber. Similarly, phloem again is made up of mostly living cells. And these are the complex tissues which transport related food from the leaves, or I mean the prepared food that is prepared to the process of photosynthesis, to all parts of the plant. Then it consists of seed tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and fibers. Right? So there are two things. Xylem is for water transport from root to stem, and phloem is for food transport from or prepared food after photosynthesis in leaves from there to the remaining part of the plant. So this is called as your conductive tissue. That's all about tissue chapter. I hope this concept is clear to all of you, and all of you are supposed to note it down in your copy, and then we will share the question answers of each and every class one by one. Till then, have a nice time ahead and take a very good care of yourself. Bye bye.